Hi, welcome to our entomology debate. My name is Emily Ash, and I am defending the Hypera postica, commonly known as the alfalfa weevil.
And hi, I'm Kendall Hilton, and I will be defending the Diarrhea noxia, also known as the Russian wheat aphid. Today we'll be debating which species will cause the greatest infestations or losses.
My species, the Hypera postica, are brown snout beetles with a dark stripe down the center of their dorsal, while the larvae are yellow-greenish with a white stripe down the center of their dorsal. The Hyperpostica attacks crops both in the adult stage and larva stage in its life cycle. However, the larva stage does by far the most damage. Some eggs are laid in the late fall or winter when the weather conditions are good, while adults slowly make their way into the crop fields during the late winter, but become way more active in March and April. Hyperpostica can severely damage the first cutting of hay in much of Illinois, but in the South, the most significant eggs laying takes place during the fall, predisposing some affected fields to the following early spring. In contrast, the northern Illinois area damage is only likely to happen if the harvest has been delayed. However, in the northern areas of Illinois, the most destruction will more than likely happen during the tender growth of the second crop. Destruction only begins by groups of eggs being laid in the field. These groups of eggs are laid in groups of up to 25 inside alfalfa stems. The larvae then feed on for 3 to 4 weeks, going through the molding cycle 3 times before finally pupating in the silky cocoons they make. Lastly, they emerge as adults in about 1 or 2 weeks. The adults then feed for about 1 to 2 weeks. Specifically, the adults usually start to attack the crops by eating the edges of leaves, then leaving them with a feathery appearance. While the larvae start to feed on the terminal leaves during making puncturing marks, then later migrating down the plant to feed on the lower leaves. Then the leaves are skeletonized as the larvae feed between their veins. The destruction can total up to 15% of the planted crops in the field. This staggering statistic affects our human society by reducing the farmer's crops by 15%, thus reducing his total harvest numbers, and in the long run, negatively affecting his profit from that season. This is the greatest infestation because it reduces the farmer's crops by 15% and does so in a manner that is hard to detect because of its different lines of attack from different ages of the beetle.
My species, the Diarrhea noxia, otherwise known as the Russian wheat aphid, is an aphid that can cause serious losses to cereal crops. To clarify, an aphid is a sap-sucking insect that sucks sap from the plant. The Russian wheat aphid is a very small, pale green insect. They possess appendages, and it gives an illusion of them having 2 tails on their heads. You can expect to find this insect on any cereal grain crops, including wheat and barley, wild grasses such as wheat grasses, brome grasses, rye grasses, and anything really in the grass family. The Russian wheat aphid is native to southwestern parts of Asia. It was first introduced and found in the United States in 1986 in the state of Texas. The species is believed to have gotten here by being transported through wheat imports. Their saliva is toxic to the plant and causes whitish stripping on cereal leaves. Feeding by this aphid will also cause the flag leaf to turn white and curl around the head, causing incomplete head emergence. Russian wheat aphids are one of the most significant pests on wheat in the world. The plant that is hosting these aphids will experience great damage to nutrient drainage and growth impairment. The aphid further increases the nutritional drainage of the host plant through eliciting an increase in essential amino acids in the phloem sap by triggering a breakdown of proteins in the host plant. The host plant response to an aphid infestation is a loss of turgor and reduced growth due to water imbalances as the aphid feeds on phloem, and can cause also reductions in biomass of the whole plant. Aphid infestation on wheat also affects the flour that is made from wheat. When aphids feed on wheat, it results in qualitative and quantitative losses in flour yield. Flour made from aphid-infested wheat has a significant negative effect on the gliadin and glutenin ratio, which reduces the bread-making quality. This has effects on the human society because we all consume flour, and so that causes great losses.
Although the Diarrhea noxia uses its saliva to infest the crops, this is not as destructive as eating the entirety of the plant by attacking both sides of the plant from the outside and the inside. While the adults in the Hyperiposthica species are feeding on the leaves of the crops, the larvae are feeding from the inside, eating the crop entirety. Also, the Diarrhea noxia is very easy to detect if the crops are being attacked. Once a crop is being attacked by the Diarrhea noxia, it causes whitish stripping on the cereal leaves. Feeding by this aphid will also cause the flag leaf to turn white and curl around the head, causing incomplete head emergence. However, the destruction of the Hyperiposthica is not easy to detect because it is only recognizable by the leaf tips being skeletonized, or if the farmers were to physically see larvae on the stems. Since this way of destruction is not easily recognizable and the crops are being attacked from both the outside and the inside, I believe that this is the most destructive infestation, thus resulting in the biggest losses a farmer has to face.
The Hyperiposthica species will not simply cause more losses and infestation than the Diarrhea noxia species because it is most harmful in the larva stage, whereas the Diarrhea noxia is harmful in all stages of its life. The Russian wheat aphid, otherwise known as the Diarrhea noxia, contains a poisonous saliva, and this is detrimental because that means anytime it opens its mouth and touches the plant, it is infesting it fast enough. The losses and infestations of this insect are great because of this method, and it results in nutrient damage and reduction in biomass for the entire plant. It also continues to affect the plant by eliciting an increase in essential amino acid in the phloem sap by triggering a breakdown of proteins in the host plant. Although the Diarrhea noxia's damage is trackable by its whitish stripping, the Hyperiposthica species can also be tracked as well if farmers see the larva or they notice the leaf tips becoming skeletonized, which isn't as noticeable, but is still very noticeable by farmers.
Although the Diarrhea noxia is harmfully equally in all stages of its life, the Hyperiposthica goes through a long period where it is a larva, and they are planted in the fields in groups of up to 20 at a time. And although the Hyperiposthica species is more destructive in its larger stage, it is still destructive in its adult stage for almost 2 weeks. Therefore, attacking the field in large attacks all at once, entirely cutting off the maximum amount of destruction in the beginning of the life cycle of the beetle species. By attacking the field of crops at this early stage in both the beetle and the crop's life, kills off the future of the crop before the beetle even has time to go through the process of pupating. I believe that this is more destructive because the plant does not stand a chance to even grow a strong defense against the plant before being attacked by the Hyperiposthica, thus making this species the more destructive insect and infesting the most crops possible for the biggest loss.
The Diarrhea noxia causes greater damage and loss to wheat. The common name of the species is the Russian wheat aphid, so from its name we can infer that its greatest damage is done to the wheat. It is proved that Russian wheat aphids are one of the most significant pests on wheat in the world, which would mean it's more of a pest to plants than the Hyperiposthica. This species directly infects wheat, and that also directly impacts us as humans because the aphids create great losses in flour yield. Flour derived from aphid-infested wheat has a significant negative effect on the gliadin and glutenin ratio, which reduces the bread-making quality of aphid-infested wheat flour. The Diarrhea noxia species can also withstand freezing cold temperatures anywhere from 0 to 5 degrees Celsius. This immunity to cold weather allows them to be destructive year-round, even in the winter season when a lot of species die off, making it the more destructive species.
In summary, the Hyperiopostica is the clear choice when discussing which species would cause the most infestation and overall loss, because it has a secret mechanism attack from the inside and the outside of the plant, eating the entirety of the crop without a lot of distinctive factors giving the pest infestation away. The Hyperiopostica is the most destructive during the larva stages of its life because it blends in with the leaves and stems of the plants, coloring of a yellow-greenish tint. The larva then infests the veins within the plant, thus skeletonizing the plant, with the adult stage of the Hyperiopostica beetle eating the leaves tips until the two stages mate together. The only way a farmer would be able to detect the infestation of the Hyperiopostica is if they notice the leaves tips being skeletonized, or if the farmers were to physically see the larva on the stems, which is the best quality a pest should obtain, since the farmers are so consistently looking out for their crops and anything that would harm them. So since the Hyperiopostica is not easily recognizable and a species attacks from both the inside and the outside of the plant, this species would definitely infest the most crops, resulting in the biggest loss.
It is no question that the Diarrhea noxia is clearly the most destructive species when questioning which species would cause the most infestations or losses. Compared to the Hyperiopostica, this species has the upper hand when it comes to their method of infesting because of its key trait, their poisonous saliva. Their saliva is so toxic that it will infest everything in its way and can damage the plants without having to work so hard, whereas the Hyperiopostica's form of infesting is a longer and harder process. The Diarrhea noxia can also withstand cold temperatures, which makes them a more endurable species, allowing them to infect the plants year-round. They also have a major negative effect on wheat, which impacts our everyday lives because it directly affects our production of flour and our consumption of flour. It is important to study the Diarrhea noxia because they are actively infesting our plants nationwide and causing the most losses today. Thank you guys for watching our debate.